I'm Pastor Chris Harris from Bright Star Church Chicago in the greater Bronzeville area. And welcome to today's edition of Clergy and Clinicians. Our show today is really exciting. It's about helping folks in the greater Bronzeville neighborhood and beyond understand health issues that affect them. And I think today is so important because if we're going to educate African Americans, it's important that some of that education come from an African American. And we got one of the best today. Dr. Yancey, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the invitation, Pastor Harris. Well, I'd love to introduce myself to all of the listeners, all the people at Bright Star and in Bronzeville. I'm Clyde Yancey from the Deep South, from Louisiana. I am inspired by the legacy of an incredibly strong African American mother who was supported by a deep faith and willed me to succeed, no matter what, willed me to succeed. Product of Tulane School of Medicine, from there University of Texas, and 10 years ago, Northwestern invited me to come up in a leadership position. So I'm professor and chief of cardiology at Northwestern Medicine, and it's been a fabulous run, and the city has been my home, and I've been made to feel home here. So I'm happy. I mean, this is like a personal passion now, to reach out to the good folks in Bronzeville. Thanks so much.
Man, I'm really, really excited about today because, listen, as an African American, you know, when I go to the hospital, if I go to the doctor, you know, it's a little bit different when you see someone who looks like you, and especially a male. That's a big deal. So you have two brothers here today getting ready to educate the community, and I'm so glad to have you as one of my guests here today. Now, listen, needless to say, 2020 has been completely different for all of us. And COVID-19 has shifted everything in all of our lives. And we've heard so much about COVID-19 in the last 7 to 8 months. So I got to ask you, are African Americans at an increased risk for COVID-19 as compared to other races or ethnicities?
So Pastor Harris and everyone that's listening, I want you to lean in for a second, because I want this answer to be very clear. Yes, African Americans, blacks, are uniquely at risk. Pastor Harris, I'm going to share some numbers with you. Here's the first number. Blacks are 4 times as likely to die from COVID-19.
Please explain why.
Let me give you another number. 1 out of every 1,125 blacks in America is now dead from COVID-19. Think about that. You raise the question, why? You want to very quickly go to race or something about race. Let me be very clear. There is no biology that puts us at risk. It is our life and living circumstances. When we live in communities that have been marginalized, communities without economic opportunities, communities without educational opportunities, where housing is a challenge, where good nutrition is a challenge. You and I have talked about this before. When that's the life and living circumstance, the likelihood of high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity is very high. And guess what are the predisposing traits that make you more vulnerable to COVID-19? It's age, but then obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and any kind of pre-existing heart disease. So that's a setup.
What can we do here locally to make sure that we avoid an increase? And I believe that some of these principles that we learn from you locally will also impact people in other cities that are watching. To educate us a little bit more, what can we do?
So the first thing we can do is don't give up the fight. Don't stop doing the good stuff. And the good stuff is simple stuff. It's the mask. It's the physical distancing. It's the hand washing. Because in those places where there was some relaxing of just those personal protective strategies, then we're seeing the virus reemerge. Australia is the presage of what we can expect during our winter season in terms of the flu. They're having record low numbers of persons with the flu. You know why? Because they are washing their hands. They are practicing physical distancing. It's bringing the flu intensity down, and they got vaccinated. This is something we can kind of put in our head and say, you know what? There's a good model. Europe is a model that's not working out so well. That's a challenge. Australia is a good model. If we do these things and take the vaccination, there's a good chance that we can tamp this down. So we should really think about that. I want to be very clear with you, the members of your congregation, and the members of the community. I'm talking about black people now. That's why I'm leaning forward and I'm wanting you to lean in. We don't like taking the flu vaccination. No. This time through, I want everybody to realize, roll the sleeve up, take the vaccination. We can't play with this. We're trying to avoid what we're calling the twindemic, flu and COVID-19. Get the vaccination, period.
So wait, Doc. Now let's be real here. You know, since the days of Tuskegee, you know, black people don't trust medicine, academia, certainly research, and you know, not to be political in any way, but when you look and listen to different folks, there are different messages coming from leadership, whether it be nationally, globally, locally. You know, it's confusing. How do we build that trust to understand that this is important?
Look at this image right here. Look at this image. I come from a very simple place. I come from a place where we had to work hard to just get from one day to the next. I am a black man. I am a researcher. I am a scientist. I am in academia. And I'm looking at you with the most sincere thought I can possibly muster and say, based on everything I've studied, everything I've learned, everything I've published, there is nothing more important to my community, people that look like me, than to get the flu vaccination. I put my word on this. This is the one thing you can do that will help you. This is it. Get the vaccination.
And let me just ask you, does the flu shot do anything to prevent COVID-19? And while you're at it, go and tell me, what's the difference between the flu and COVID-19?
So the flu shot prevents the flu, influenza. We make a mistake and we believe that the common cold, even a bad cold, that was the flu and the shot didn't work. No, it worked. Influenza is the bad one. Because very quietly, you know what? This year, influenza has killed 20,000 people. COVID-19, 200, but influenza has killed 20,000 people. So it's a serious condition. They both are viruses. One is due to influenza A, the other is due to coronavirus. So we have to realize that there's no crosstalk here. We have to get vaccinated against influenza A, and we hope to be able to get vaccinated against coronavirus. I can't stress this enough. We have paid a dear price, we being black Americans, due to coronavirus, due to COVID-19. We can't continue to pay this price. We're losing our families. We're losing our heritage. We're losing our talent. We have to step up and do this.
Give us some final words of advice, of anything else that you want to add, and make sure that our community is aware of ways that we can stay healthy.
Think about the black experience. Think about how robust, how rich, how culturally beautiful the black experience is. It's worth preserving. It needs to thrive. This one time, let's stop being a casualty. Let's do what we know to do that will help us embrace that culture, embrace that heritage, and pass it on. We need to prepare for the next generation. And I want the black experience, the rich, beautiful part of the black experience, to survive COVID-19. And the only way that will happen is that we survive. And I've told you exactly what it will take. Mask, hand washing, physical distancing, and a vaccine.